Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukatali.
And a very good morning to you. This is Newsline, live as always from the Newsfirst studios in Dorset Street in Colombo. And on this wonderful, bright morning, we've got a very special guest, Dr. Maya Gunasekara. And he's going to talk about the need to have more and more doctors, but suitably qualified, and to provide everyone with an equal opportunity. And let's see what all this controversy is all about. Very good morning to you, Dr. Gunasekara.
Good morning.
Nice to see you here.
Nice to see you too.
And you're still batting on.
Well,
what is the secret of your healthy success?
Well, I'll talk about that later, after the program.
Okay, all right. Now then, Dr. Gunasekara, please tell us and put us out of our misery, what on earth is going on? You have a group of students who have taken advantage of private medical education. They have qualified, they want to be registered, and now there's an almighty row. Why?
Yeah, I think we had to start from the A-levels.
Right.
You see? Now, as you know, all over the world, I mean, take London A-levels or whatever, in Sri Lanka, the advanced level examination is where you separate the men from the boys.
Right.
Right? So A-level results are very important.
Right.
Whether you do it the first time, second time, or whatever.
Yeah.
And everybody after A-levels, we are talking only about medicine.
Yeah.
I think for other science streams also this is applicable.
Yeah.
After A-level results, every student who sits for the exam gets a Z score.
Right.
Right?
And
so,
who awards this Z score?
Well, I think there is a bit of a complicated system.
Right.
But it is purely on merit, the Z score.
But that's managed by the government, by the education.
Yeah. But then the Z score gives you your performance level and whatever.
Right.
Right? So, now, if we
very important is Z score.
Yeah, Z score is very important.
Right.
Now, at the moment, I think in Sri Lanka, there are about 1,100 seats for medicine every year. That is
actual spots for students.
Yeah, say Colombo, Peradeniya, Jayawardhanapura, Galle, Batticaloa, Jaffna, add everything up, we'll say 1,000.
These are from the state universities?
Yes, all state. Right? And if you say 1,000 slots are there for medicine, during the time I was there, right, that is I entered medical college in 1972, there were 250 slots, 150 in Colombo and 100 or 75 in Peradeniya.
Okay.
So, according to the A-level average, A-level results aggregate, the first 225 of the list are taken and closed.
Right.
It's a fair system.
Right.
But now what happens is, if there are 1,000, so we'll say 1,000, the first 40%, 400, the first 400 gets in.
Right. Based on merit.
Purely on merit.
On the Z score.
Yeah. Purely on merit, on the Z score.
Right.
So if somebody from Anuradhapura has a good Z score and he's in the first 400, that's fine.
Right.
From Colombo, whatever, from wherever you are, right?
Irrelevant of where your residence is.
Yes.
Or where you went to school, the bottom line is the Z score.
Yeah.
So based on that merit, if you're in the first 400, you're through.
Yeah, first 40% is purely on the merit.
Right.
Then after that, 55, then now there's 60% left. Right? 55% is on a district quota system. Now the district quota is calculated according to the population of the district, Colombo, Gampaha, Monragala, whatever district, and the demand of the students and the results of the district. So the number changes from district to district every year. And then, for example, Colombo district, they might say, okay, 150 can come in this year.
Yeah.
Gampaha, they might say, we'll say 100. But the unfair thing is, the cutoff point for Colombo can be Z score 1.9 and for Gampaha it can be 1.7.
Okay.
Right? Now the thing is, now those students might be going to the same tuition class.
Because if it's not too far off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And then, you see, the unfair thing is, then, if you are from Colombo, right, you miss out. But if you are from Gampaha or Mundragala, you get in with a lesser essential score.
But, Doctor, now, this is all very well explained, and for whatever reason it's there. But we're not talking accounts, or we're not talking of in something else. We're talking about medical profession. It's life and death. That's our perception.
Yeah,
so I don't see, doctor, when I come to the hospital, or if I go to consult a doctor, I'm consulting a doctor. I don't want to know. I don't want to be to suffer because some doctor who lived in a hardship area has been given a discount. This is not a game of golf where you have, according to ability, you get a handicap. So here somebody is being given a handicap. I think that's patently unfair and dangerous.
Well, thing is, your concern, I mean, there is some merit for your concern.
I'm surprised nobody's gone to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, you see, the thing is, my concern is, like, okay, you can, if you make the merit not 40% but 80%, then there is some fairness. But for me, it has to be 100% merit.
Yes.
You see, but now,
I think that's the way. Most other places in the world.
All over the world, it's 100% merit, and even in the States and in the UK, to get into medical college,
it's very difficult.
No, medical college, you get through the A-levels, and then after that, you have to sit for another exam, right, to qualify to get into medical college. So they make it tougher and tougher. But here we are lowering the bar, depending on some district quota system, which is ridiculous. But of course, if it is not 40% on merit, but 80%, there is a great deal of fairness. Now, what is happening here is students who are very well capable of becoming doctors or studying a medical degree course is being left out. Now, all these guys, because they are from Colombo or whatever,
where the Z-score is higher, and there's less, the quota is filled up.
The quota is filled up. Now, all this time, I think they just went abroad. They just was biting the bullet and going to Russia, Bangladesh, China, whatever, and qualifying, coming back, suffering, sitting for Act 16. The Act 16 is held well once in 2 years, and that is also a bit of an arduous thing because then, they have to re-qualify, but now the numbers have increased. The international schools are putting out chaps with 3A stars, right? Colombo guys with 1A, 2Bs cannot get into medical college. I mean, take Saitam for example, you can have a private medical college, right? But if no one is applying for it, it's going to be a problem.
Students,
but then now large numbers are applying for it because every year, if you take the statistic, more than 200, I am sure, between 200 to 300 A-level students who are well qualified are going out of the country. I mean, the other day I read in the papers that the University Grants Commission or the Sri Lanka Medical Council has stated the minimum qualification is 2Cs 1S. I mean, 2Cs 1S is a laugh because most of these guys will have at least 1B 2Cs or 2Bs 1C or 1A 2Bs. I mean, well qualified to follow a course in medicine. But for us here, you have to understand one thing. These guys must not be deprived of studying a medical course. You do a medical course, you become a doctor. I mean, just because you become a doctor, right, you have to do an internship and you have to better yourself. No one is going to come to you unless you are competent. So they have to, after that, get postgraduate exams, diplomas, whatever, and upgrade themselves. But my thing is, don't deprive anybody of that medical education when they are well qualified at A-levels, 1B, 2As, 1A, 2Bs, 1B, 2Cs, it's okay. So, I think there is a need for private medical education.
Well,
not one medical college, 2 or 3.
Many more, because private schools and colleges, they seem to produce better A-level results than the rest. So surely, but I wanted to ask you another point. With this sort of district allocation and so on, and the handicap, doesn't it have racial overtones as well?
No, you can't say that, but then, I must say this, it doesn't, but the thing is...
But the possibility is a strong one.
Yeah, possibility is a strong one, but at the same time, what we should be concentrating is advanced level examination can be structured, multiple choice, whatever, so that bias can be taken out. But when you have too many essay type questions, and when it is answered in 3 different languages, you must have examiners who could correct, like the Tamil paper corrected by a Sinhalese person correcting the Tamil paper, so to eliminate that bias and the marking.
But don't you agree, Doctor, that when you have this sort of system where one area is given a discount, that's what it is at the end of the day?
No, well, I mean,
and they are, you get only a certain amount of place reserved for, let's say, the north or the northeast. And so, they may have, again, like the same example as in Colombo, where they would have got a huge Z score, but there aren't enough spaces reserved for them.
It is wrong. It is completely wrong. But if you are going on merit alone, now see, for example, in America, right, the sets and whatever, it's all multiple choice and structured. No major, sort of essays. So your knowledge is tested. Right? And, it doesn't matter who corrects your paper. They put it to a computer and then you get the mark. That type of system has to be devised by a permanent set of examiners, so that examiner bias is eliminated and you take the best for the best jobs.
How long before it will be politicized then? You know what happens over here? Everything becomes politicized.
I think that's an unfortunate thing, but that I think...
But you as a doctor, you haven't suffered that, have you?
No, fortunately no, because I think I sat for the A-levels in 1971, and that was the last time they had on pure merit. And after that they changed the system. So I didn't suffer. But subsequently, I'll tell you a good example, the North Medical Colombo, that was scrapped, right? All those guys, right, were from Colombo schools, and practically most of them were my house officers at Orthopedic Hospital. I mean, they couldn't get entry to the medical college because of this Z score and because they are from Colombo. Chandima Suryarachi, who couldn't get in from Colombo, is now a pediatric surgeon. Bimsara Sen Nayaka is a neuro
good in their job.
Yes, and Dr. Nugadua, who was my house officer, private medical college, couldn't get into medical college because of his school. He's a surgeon.
So how did they qualify then?
Well, I mean...
They went abroad?
No.
They went to the private one?
No, they went to the private medical college, that North Colombo Medical College, which was scrapped. Then subsequently they got qualified. They sat for postgraduate exams. For us, what is important is, the most important thing is, you have to get people who have got high A-level marks. When you get them, you are sure that 80% of those guys will go beyond MBBS without any problem. They will qualify. Now, if we have been sticking to a system where at least we get 80% from merit, we would be bursting to our seams with consultants now. You must make sure that the chap you take in is going to go beyond MBBS. Now, during my time, most of my batchmates have become consultants, and the previous better.
Well, what's the rule when you go abroad and qualify abroad? But you want to come back and practice in Sri Lanka, land of your birth and all that business.
No, if you go abroad and qualify and come with MBBS outside the country, then you have to sit for the Act 16 exam. But if you
is that held regularly?
Unfortunately, it is held twice a year, but I think it should be held every other month or every month.
To cope with the demand.
Cope with the demand. But of course, if we have medical colleges here because we have excellent teachers and we have excellent government hospitals which can be co-opted. Our teachers are good, our doctors are good. We can have the education here and we can draw people from neighboring countries.
You say now we have about 1,100 positions for medical students within the state universities. What would the ideal figure be? How many medical students do we need to cope with the demand?
That's a very good and important question. When I qualified as a doctor in 1976, my father's good friend was Mr. B.C. Pereira, the permanent secretary.
Right.
So he told me, Maya, you better go, and you have got through your primary FRCS. You better qualify and come soon, because in a few years' time we will not be needing specialists, too many specialists, because we are full. Are we still full? No. Don't talk of a number. Right? Keep on producing. The very good will become consultants, and out of those chaps, some will do research. So don't talk of a number. Right? Of course, there will be others who become doctors and become GPs or fall by the wayside. That is the system. Now in England, for example, because my daughter is OB-GYN trainee, they have trainees, right? You get into the program, right? And then after that, if 20 get in, right, then after that only about 4 or 5 get into the real program. They make you compete, and you become a consultant, right? And there might be 10 slots available, but they have 15 consultants. You see? So the consultants themselves have to compete, get a PhD, get a MSc, do a research paper. So when you become a consultant there, the system makes sure that the best is there to look after the patient because they have come through a hell of a system. Now, for example, India, to become a surgical trainee, to get into a slot of surgical trainee, I think more than 40 to 50 compete for one slot. You see? So don't stop it.
But essentially, whichever way one looks at it, there is bias, isn't there? It is bias when you have this system, however logical it may be, and for whatever reason.
Well, I firmly believe, and I'll tell you that this system is wrong because it is keeping out at least 150 to 200 very good chaps from A-level, especially from Colombo, who miss out by 2 marks, who would well be capable of becoming very good doctors and specialists. Because A-level, I think the system will be a bit fair if you take not 40, 80% on merit and give 20% for district, then the number that requires to go out even to do private medicine will be less.
I know what you say, and I hear what you say about the opportunities for people from students from areas that are challenging in a number of ways. But when it comes to some things, and the medical profession must stand out on its own, we can't possibly have any bias. And our politicians are very adept at using these biases for their own political gain. And so it is obviously that you have bias, and you say because hardship area or whatever it is, but also when we look at the greater context and when you see the concentration of the population, the racial makeup of some people who are in various parts of the country, then that can also be construed as a racial bias there. And so to overcome all that, Doctor, isn't it a straight merit system the best?
Straight merit system is the best, but when you are correcting, your question papers must be structured in such a way like more multiple choices and less essay types, so that bias is eliminated like in the States, so that you select the best. It is like the umpire review system in cricket. You see, why do you have that? Because you want the bowler to get the batsman now, not the umpire. You see,
but let's say Zimbabwe. their team doesn't get any special marks because they come from a country where the political and economic structure is
no, you got to
challenged.
compete. You got to compete and prove it. You got to compete and prove it.
So you're not there's no space for a handicap system.
No.
Especially
don't lower the bar. Keep the bar.
We must keep the bar in one
for everybody.
For everyone. But despite and so be it. If you are from a challenged area, then I dare say that you are even better because you've had to go through various hardships. Maybe you've had to walk 5 kilometers a day because there's no blessed buses.
But you still have to clear the same bar.
You must clear the same bar.
Same bar.
Because when you're doing the high jump, just because you're coming from Timbuktu, where the heights are much smaller, the average.
No, it's like the Olympics. Like say, for example, if somebody runs the Olympics from Sri Lanka 100 meters, 10.5, they won't say, you're from a deprived area, 10.5 is enough for a gold. Yeah, now, you're from America. You must do 9.9.
Now, Dr. Gunasekara, you are a man of great experience and so on, and much respected. What's your take on this awful situation? If you move on to current affairs, what's your take?
You're putting me into trouble.
Not at all. I'm asking you, what is your take? You are a successful doctor, a successful professional, much respected in your community and so on. And you obviously can't not ignore the news. Every outlet, every network is writing and running stories on the same thing. This garbage dump business. What is your take on this?
Well, I think it is, of course, everybody's responsibility, from the time of disposing garbage, from the household, you have to segregate it, then the people have to come and collect it, and then after that it is out of the individual's hand, and then it goes to...
What's the point? They're going and dumping it all in the same blessed place.
Yes, the thing, this is something that have been going on for a long time, and from the news, what I hear, and from the papers, what I read, there seems to be a local mafia acting, and with large amounts of money to be made by dumping the garbage, whatever. That's and those poor people, I feel very sorry for them, because like someone said, we were living here, and we were told that the garbage will be there only for a short time.
It was only for 2 years.
2 years, and in a small 2-acre plot.
That's right.
But subsequently it widened to 20 acres, and in spite of protests, nothing happened. So I think subsequent governments, people's representatives, I don't call anybody politician, they are people's representatives.
Indeed.
So people's representatives have been hoodwinking these people. And of course, there is always two sides to the coin. There would have been some people in that vicinity also making money out of it, but the majority, of course, are innocent bystanders and victims. And this is something that has to be seriously thought of, and garbage disposal has to be modernized, and the responsibility also has to be given to the individual household. And I think when you dispose of garbage, I think some fee has to be collected, because it's your garbage. You can't dispose of it, free. Something has to be done.
But the problem is, Doctor, that there is all bias. Again, we're back to bias. This program ought to be called bias. Back to bias again. Because these people, we went there, Bandra State, and I went there, and not Bandra, I think not Bandra, myself and another colleague, we went there, and the people there were really angry.
Yes.
They were really angry. All it needed was that to spark them off, and they were calm in their grief, and it was so tragic. And what they said is, what do you mean they told us to leave? They can't tell us to leave. The rubbish came after us.
That's right.
We were here before.
Yes,
They've got title deeds.
Yes.
The other tragic part of this, Doctor, is that for whatever reason, coincidence you want to call it, but that area has been represented by strong so-called high-profile politicians who appear to have enjoyed the ear of the higher political authorities. And even so, in spite of that, it's been an abysmal failure. And the people there, apparently it's been going on since 1994.
Yeah, I was listening to a program yesterday or day before, and they said plans were underway 3-4 years ago to take this in stages to Puttlam and then to do something with it, but then...
But you can't just dump garbage, you need to process it.
Yes, no, to take it there, process it, and money has been reserved for it 3-4 years ago, but the plans could not be implemented for whatever reason. I mean, these things have to be looked into. Why? Because, this was an unbelievable tragedy. I don't think anywhere in the world something like this happened. A garbage heap of that magnitude would not have been allowed anywhere.
No,
and when you have it at that magnitude, something's going to happen one day anyway. But
what prolonged exposure to this sort of stench? What does it do? Your health. What does it do?
Well, it is, no, stench is a different thing. Some people, individual perseverance is something, different. But then sometimes the bacteria there and the organism there, you can have so many illnesses.
Yeah.
That itself is bad.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you see, my concern was that, when I saw that, like some people said, my God, how did anybody allow such a huge heap of garbage to be accumulated in the vicinity of homes?
That's right.
For such a long time, and I don't know. Sort of.
It's an abysmal failure of public officials there.
People's representatives.
People's representatives.
Yes, but over the last 10 years.
Well, even longer.
Yeah.
But it's shocking. The utter disregard that has been practiced over
and
there.
You see, the thing is, I was seeing some of the scenes. It is such a tragedy for the survivors.
Yeah.
One chap has lost his daughter and son-in-law, and
That's
now
right.
he has to look after his grandson. And look, he's an old man. He might
He
might not be around in 5 years, and the grandson is about 6-7
There's
years.
a chap there, a young man, who lost. He was the only survivor. Right. So I don't know what on earth it's going to do to their overall, to his future. His future isn't looking bright at all. It's looking very bleak. And that story is replicated several times more. And the sad thing, Doctor, is that these things are continued to happen. It's almost like, and you'll understand this, it's almost like our people's representatives have something called collective Asperger's syndrome. Shall we do another program on Asperger's syndrome? I want you to think about it. I think you'll find that we have some merit in what we're saying, because there's hardly any empathy here. But Dr. Maya Gunasekara, it's been wonderful having you on Newsline. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much.
And
wish you a very good day.
And the same to you, Doctor, and to all those wonderful medical staff for doing the best they can. Thank you for taking care of us in that way. And that's it from Newsline. We'll see you same time, same place, tomorrow morning, helping you stay connected. Take care and God bless.